Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you all had a good week. Is the new normal at school working out for you? Remember last week I told you Faith Zone would be different this year? And look where we are. It is different. Who would have expected you could watch a Sunday school video at home that was set in a tent? Well, it's a first for us as well. Before we go on to our lesson today, let's review a bit, okay? 2 weeks ago, we talked about promises and how God always keeps his promises and wants us to do the same. Last week, we talked about trusting God. Today, we're going to go a step further and talk about God and how he always loves us. First, remember our friend Ellie, who was having a hard time last week because she couldn't see her friends and we tried to cheer her up? Let's check in with her and see how she's doing, okay?
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Ellie. How are you doing this morning?
Better. I guess I just don't like change. Things are different, and I still miss everyone. But I know I'm not alone. We're all in this together, and if I put my trust in God, we will be all right.
That's right, Ellie. If we follow God's directions, we will be okay. Even when the directions don't seem to be clear, our trust in God and his love for us will prevail.
I hope so.
Just have faith, Ellie, okay?
Okay, I promise. What are we going to talk about today? And why is there a tent set up?
Remember last week how God told Abram to pack up his belongings and his family because he had special plans for him?
Right. He packed a suitcase with his underwear, his sandals, his robes, a toothbrush, cooking pots, his tents, his family, his bowling trophies.
Whoa, Ellie. I'm not sure Abram had any bowling trophies, but he did pack up everything he had and followed God's directions, even though God didn't tell him exactly where he was going. So off they went until they were so tired they could barely move. So they stopped and set up a camp. Let's find out where he stopped while I read a passage from Genesis. God passed through the land to the place at Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. From then on, he moved to the hill country on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built another altar to the Lord. That's why we're in a camping setting, just like Abram. Ellie, have you ever been camping?
No, I don't know anything about camping. I might be afraid.
Oh, there's nothing to be afraid of, Ellie. Let's talk about it. What would make a good camping trip? We know what to pack for a trip, but what would we do?
Well, we could sleep on the ground in a tent, have a campfire, sing songs, tell stories, roast hot dogs, make s'mores, go hiking, maybe swimming if there is water, play games, maybe even go fishing.
Boy, Ellie, for being afraid, you sure have a lot of fun things planned. It sounds like a great adventure to me, and not something to be afraid of. Would you still be afraid?
No, I guess not.
Well, camping makes great stories. I haven't done a lot of camping, but when I did, it was usually filled with the unexpected. It might rain and the tent might leak, or the tent might fall over, or the fire might be hard to start. But no matter what, I had a plan. Unexpected things may have disrupted my plans at points and pulled some surprises, but I had a plan. I knew each day exactly where we were headed for the night. Abram's story was a little different. God didn't tell him up front where the final destination would be. It's almost as if Abram, every single morning he woke up, had to check in with God to see which road to take that day. Now there's a certain adventure to that, and some of you may have taken a trip like that.
It sounds kind of like a fun adventure.
It was an adventure, and probably full of unexpected surprises. And you know what the favorite thing about each of my trips was? At night, we'd sit around the campfire and look up at the sky. Watching the towering trees and the campfire side frame a sky full of surprises was always a treat. The sky was so full of stars that all you could see was white. It took my breath away, and I'll never forget it.
Wow, that does sound nice.
That's what Abram saw too. He was out in the desert, and tired as he was every day, he could look up each night and see the beautiful sky. Let me tell you what the Bible says about it. The Lord appeared to Abram by the oaks, as he sat at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent entrance to greet them and bowed down to the ground. He said, "My Lord, if I find favor with you, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves and the tree. Let me bring a little bread, that you may refresh yourselves, and after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant." So they said, "Do as you have said." And Abram hastened into the tent and said, "Make ready these 3 measures of choice flour, knead it, and make cakes."
Wow, as many descendants as stars?
Have you ever looked up in the sky on a clear night and watched the stars? And have you noticed if you look up at the sky from the country or desert like Abram did, they're shining even brighter?
I know. From my house, they seem to go on forever.
Have you ever tried to count them?
Not really.
Well, how many do you think there are?
I would guess millions and billions and gazillions.
Well, I don't know about gazillions, but there are a lot. Let's recall what we read in that Bible. It said that the skies will be as many as you can possibly see. The passage talks about something that is a surprise to Abram. Do you remember what the surprise was?
That he would be a father?
Right. Not only would he be a father, but he would be the father of many. That really was a surprise to Abram, because he and his wife had no children. He was 75 years old. And now another question. God told Abram to go outside and look up. What things in the sky did God point to tell Abram to imagine his many children and grandchildren?
The stars?
Correct again. Good job. God told Abram to look at the stars, and that was how many descendants he would have. And although Abram didn't quite understand God's plan, he believed him and trusted him, and he knew God loved him. And just like Abram, we can do the same thing. We may not always understand God's plan, but we should always believe in him, trust him, and remember how much he loves us. Now I want to ask you something, Ellie. What do you see when you look at the stars?
I guess I never thought much about it. I know that they're beautiful, and they're always there.
Just like God, he's always there. Sometimes it takes something visual, like the stars, for us to remember that. I have an idea. Let's make a star as a reminder about God's promise to Abram. They don't have to be fancy. Draw one on a piece of paper and put it on the refrigerator. Or make one from craft sticks and decorate. Or if you have a sticker in the shape of a star, use that. Just keep it someplace where you will see it every day and remember the promise God made to Abram. And when we remember that promise, it reminds us that we can trust God to keep his promises. God is always at work and has a plan for our lives. Okay?
I'm going to make a star right now out of paper as a reminder.
That's great, Ellie. Well, boys and girls, it's time again to say goodbye. I hope you've enjoyed being with Ellie, Val, and myself this morning, and we look forward to seeing you right back here next Sunday and in person soon. Take care and stay safe, okay?
Goodbye, everyone. See you soon.